Yep.
Well, my name is Nancy, and I am happy to introduce TJ Larkin with Insure Metrics, who will be giving our webinar today. Thank you, TJ, for you and your team showing up, and we're going to give you control of the board.
All right. Thank you, Nancy. All right. Thank you all for being here. I'm stoked to share with you what we're doing at Insure Metrics. It's our first time kind of really putting ourselves out there publicly for Allstate agents, and it's exciting for me because I was an Allstate agent for I think 10 years. I officially was an agent. I actually was in claims before that, and I grew up in an Allstate family. So my parents were agents and have still been, they're still agents in Southern California. Many of my family members have worked at Allstate. So I feel like Allstate is in my blood. Unfortunately, I'm not an agent any longer. And a big reason for that is because of the software, kind of a conflict of interest with the company. It was best for me not to continue doing that so that I could focus on this. But I'm excited to show you all what we've built here. And so quick background on what we've built with Insure Metrics is as an agent, I was using Agency Zoom, which you guys probably know was also started by an Allstate agent, and it was good at the time, but then slowly they just kind of didn't add any extra features. It kind of was like I kept talking to the founder, like, "There's you could do this," and he just wouldn't do it, and I know why because eventually he sold to a private equity firm, and now they only care about independent agents. So if you guys, I assume you're not using. It seems like a lot of agents have moved on from Agency Zoom for that reason. And then there's also the other competitor that I had used as well, which is Performology. And while they built a lot of cool stuff, it was so confusing I couldn't use it. Literally, it had all these features, and I was paying for it, and I couldn't use it. And so those were really the primary two. And I'm sitting here thinking I can do better than this. I know with help of some really good, successful, smart people, I can do better than this. And it took me a while, but I was able to do it when I met Alex. Um, and I was stoked to meet Alex. And yeah, Alex, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody how we got this going?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, TJ. Yeah, so when TJ and I first met, he was explaining exactly that experience of just having walls of numbers and then these tools that just weren't meeting his needs. And my background was more on the data number crunching side of things. And so I said, I think we can build you a solution, TJ, and let's just take a look at what you've got with your spreadsheets and if we can build some sort of reporting around it and help streamline that. So what we tried to do at the beginning was really go from this spreadsheet, which if you guys have been around, you probably seen it before, and turn it into some sort of dashboard that would be more of a consolidated view that's easier to digest, easier to manage. And that first prototype that we built, he started to share screenshots with different agency owners, other folks in Facebook groups, and people just kept asking, "Hey, how can I get my hands on this? I would love to use this for my agency. This would be great to see all of our numbers in one place, track what's happening over time." And we figured, okay, maybe this has some legs, and this is something that we could develop further. So part of what we did is we brought in some folks like our partner who's also on the call that you'll hear from shortly, Terry Floyd and his team to help flesh this out and turn this into a real product that could service agency owners. But part of the process was also just going back and asking, hey, what are you guys dealing with that this tool could actually help you with? And here's some of the things that we found out that agency owners were dealing with, that there's actually quite a bit of renewals that they were missing out on because things were just falling through the cracks. It took hours and hours and hours of just manually tracking these things. I think one of the comments we heard was people are printing out these sheets, using a ruler and a highlighter to compare what's happening one month over another. Other teams told us that they had to share their spreadsheets with their entire team, and they had people potentially stealing their customers by going to another agency. And that's just kind of the reality of sharing all that sensitive data out there. The other things that we were seeing was they didn't know how to manage their team. They had signed tasks, they tell people, but they didn't know if they were actually making progress on that. So things were constantly falling through the cracks. So I guess one question I would ask for the folks that are on is, has any of you guys dealt with any of these particular items? Are these kind of aligned with your experience? And if they are, feel free to drop in a chat, because I think this is the things that we discovered as we were talking with more agency owners and some of our current customers today. So without further ado, I'm really going to turn it back over to TJ and Terry to take you guys through a live demo. And since we've gone from that spreadsheet to a dashboard, we've turned this into a full-fledged platform that has a lot of automation features designed specifically for Allstate agents. And so we're really excited to share this demo with you guys. So Terry, I'll turn this over to you.
Sounds good. Give me 1 second. Okay, everybody should see my screen.
Yep, we got you.
Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, my name is Terry Floyd. I'm the product manager of Insure Metrics. I've been working in the insurance industry for several years, but my background is about 25, 30 years in custom software development. So I've been doing this for quite a long time, and really one of my goals is to build really good software that ultimately people can use and brings value, and not just something that works halfway decent. When you log in, we're going to start with the home page, and we have some leaderboards here, and we also have a communications page here that you actually can customize for yourself. And some ways that you can use this communications page is either through sharing quotes. You can put in any kind of metrics that you would like. One of the common things that a lot of people like to use in this is actually sending some of their documents, like for HR. I know a lot of agents have Google Drives where it's when they put in all their various documents, and you can actually link them right here. So now you don't have to have multiple different places that people have to go and sending emails with updates. You can just update it within this particular page. So it's a good solid landing page. We also have the ability to actually adjust where each person actually can land. So we actually have different pages that you can send people to, so the admins can go to a particular page. So you have some control. If you want everybody going to the home page, you can force them to do that. Okay. First, we're going to start with talk time. So we really believe in supporting the ability to sell, and that always starts with talk time. You have the ability to track talk time by person. You have a few charts here, and then you have all the different inputs for each one of the employees. There's a couple ways you can add that in. You can click the button down here in the bottom left, but we have this neat little input data button here in the top that's always visible, so that no matter where you're at in the system, you're able to click on one of the three key features to enter in your time. So as an employee, you pick the person, you then key in the actual number of minutes. But hey, if you want to track it by hours, you have the option to do that. And then you also have the ability to navigate forward and backwards. So let's say you forget a couple of days and you need to go backwards, you can just navigate to be able to add that in, which is pretty straightforward. Next up, we'll bounce over to the quotes section, which is very similar, tracking the number of quotes that your employees are keying in. This has a little more going on with this one, where who's the employee? We have a referring employee. We track all your lead sources. And what's great is you actually can customize these. So if you have 5 or if you have 50 lead sources, you can key those in yourself. You don't need to talk to us. You don't have to sync up with other agents. It's whatever you want. Then you can get down into the customer. And then from here, if they're an existing customer, then they will show up in the system, and then you can just click them again. So if you're reselling somebody else, you don't have to key in that data again, which is really easy. Then you have carriers, and carriers are also just like lead sources, where you can actually put in as many as you want. So if you do a lot of independent brokers and things like that, you can then key in, once again, 25, 50, 100. There's no limit. Then you have your policy lines. These are also 100% customizable. And what's really great is you can actually assign custom points to this. So depending on if you're in different states and how you track those, you can assign those to 0 points, 5 points, 10 points, whatever works. Then you have your quote number, which you can key in. You have your number of items, and you have your quote, and you give it a star rating if you'd like to use that to be able to track. Now, another nice little feature about our quotes is our ability to add in multiple quotes at one time. So you can say, hey, this individual, this customer, I actually have a second quote to key in, and I can do that. Or if I'm just keying in, let's say 5 different quotes, because you have somebody else that enters them in the system, they can then click that. So you hit your save. Whoops, got to actually click on that, because those are required. And then it saves, and then it goes right to add new. And you can see that it kept some of the data in there to speed things up. Okay. Now, there's 2 different ways that you can enter in sales. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stay on the quote page, and you can enter in input a sale just like this. Or you can actually come into an existing sale and you can actually convert the sale down here. So we actually have some people that have very strict workflows that actually do not allow their users to enter in sales directly. And you can actually turn that off. So for instance, if you turn that feature off, the input sales goes away and everything has to be actually entered as a quote and then forces them to always convert the sale. But if you don't want to do that, that's perfectly fine to do it that way. So we do a conversion, and you can see now it flips it over to the sales screen. It then keeps as much data as possible, and then you can adjust it as necessary. Let's say you know the sales date, you know that now. Let's say we're going to move that to the future a little bit, and then we'll hit save, and then we have our sales. So you're not having to double, triple key that data in the system. Okay. So now that we're actually keying in data, we have several different ways that you can track the data. First of all, we have sales and quote history, which essentially gives you the raw data. So we don't want to put all the data, make it complicated for you to get to. So what we do is we give it to you in raw form that we let you export. We have some users that like to do some special things with the data that we don't have in our system. And so this gives them the ability to export it. They obviously can come in and make edits in this page. We have a lot of filters by policy line, lead source, employee, etc. You can also delete from here and things like that. Okay, same thing with the quote also. Now, we have some more extensive dashboards. So if I'll show you sales dashboard, which is a little more advanced than the quote dashboard, we can do this by employee. We have different time frames. So you can do the last 7 days, you can do last month, and you can see these different metrics are adjusting. And we also have a small grid that shows just the most recent sales. So you have some options there depending on how you want to look at it. Now, I can understand saying, well, I got all these different dashboards, but I need something that's a little simpler, a little easier to get to. We have this great little tool called the Agency Activity Hub. Okay, now this is basically your kind of ability to take a whiteboard and kind of create whatever dashboard that you want. The first step is you determine how many sections. So you can have 0 to, or there's no point of 0, but you have 1 to 6 sections. You save those off. And then within each section, you determine exactly what type of dashboard that you want to show. And this is the first one, which is what we call our metrics report. And we actually have different metrics. So if I show them all, we have all these different metrics that you can put in here. And this is a great place where when we have agents say, hey, I would like to show this one particular metric, it's very easy for us just to drop it in here as an option. And then not every agent has to be stuck looking at the same metrics. We know some people care more about VC than other people. Some people may focus on items versus premium, but we don't really care. We let you put in exactly what you want. The next one's going to be charts, and we have approximately 5 charts now, so I'm going to add a couple of those back and save those, and then those will load, and you can see we have charts here. You can do this in any order, so if you like your charts first or you want your metrics at the very bottom, it doesn't matter. Then we get down to our employee view, which is really just more of a raw grid. Some people like this. They like to see a little more of the data focus side of it than around some of the charts. And as you can call, we had the leaderboards here from before. You can repeat those again if you would like. You can also remove them from the home page. Once again, we try to build this with flexibility, and so it gives you some customizability so you're not stuck with just the way that we did it. Now, if you notice, I have a couple more different boxes down here. And what we allow you to do is essentially overlap uh, some of the controls. And the reason why we did that was because there may be a situation where you say, okay, I want to see all the metrics, but I only want to see maybe 5 of them here at the top, but then I want to see the rest of them down below. So you can repeat data, you can lay that down exactly how you need to set it up and for however it needs to work for you. Then the last one for the dashboards is our business metrics report. So the spreadsheet that Alex posted earlier in his presentation, if you upload that in the system, you get this nice, really good looking dashboard that you actually can go back and do your history if you upload your previous ones. So this is one of the very first things that we ever built, which kind of spawned the entire idea from Insure Metrics. Okay, great. Now that you're tracking all these different things, your quote, talk time, and your sales, now the next thing is going to be is like, well, now we actually want to retain the customers that we have. So we have an entire retention suite that actually keeps up with the process for when the individual is either not paying or they canceled or they terminated. We have a lot of different views. We have the ability to upload these different reports out of the system. So we're going to bounce over to that real quick. And we designed this in a way because we knew a lot of agents actually worked this, like they had actual agents that did nothing but they either did win back or they did certain types of audits and they just called people. And so we wanted to create like a queue system that allowed them to be able to quickly and easily jump through one after the other versus having to click on different screens. We knew in some of our competition where if they needed to call somebody, it would be like, let me click here, and click there. Whereas for here, what we can do is we click on the call button and it brings up this little slide down. And the slide down is simply designed for the ability for you to jump on a call real quick, find out what you need to do to find out where the status is of the customer, and then move on. So we have this little call button here. So you can actually set up an app within your computer. So if you have like a VoIP or something that you're dialing through your computer, you can actually hit that call button after you set it up through your Microsoft system, and then you can just make the call. So you don't have to dial it in or anything like that. Then you have your notes, you have your follow-up, your status, and then if you want to be able to copy those notes, you have a little copy button right here. And then when you're done, you can say save and call next. And when you do that, you're going to notice that the blue bar actually moved down. So as I'm saving and calling next, it keeps jumping down. And as I'm updating my notes and saving statuses, these will update. And hopefully you'll either win back customers or then you'll find out that they're not interested and then you can remove them off when you re-upload your sheet in the future. Like I said, each one of these operates completely independent, whether it's a renewal audit or a pending audit, and it's very clean and straightforward. You upload your list, you make your changes, and then once they fall off of a list, you would then re-upload a new list, and then all your data is going to be saved. So if I click on somebody, we actually have their policies, we have their notes, and everything there for them so that they can actually, you can keep track of what they're doing. Okay. Next, we are going to bounce to our Insure HR feature, which has a lot of great abilities. This is in our premium tier. And the first thing I'm going to do is just show you the ability to track time. I've been clocked in for 6 hours today. We have the ability to track lunch, ability to clock out, take notes, all that good stuff. So let's go to your time entries here. So this lists all your different time entries. Users have the ability to update their time. And what's really great is that we actually track if they've done something outside of just clocking in and out. So there may not be anything nefarious going on, but like if somebody is clocking in, clocking out, and they're constantly like changing their time and editing it, there could be a training issue. There could be something that needs to be addressed. You can also delete entries, search entries, keep track of that. Next up we're going to get is to communication. So it's really important to communicate to your employees. I know that in certain states there's a lot of legal ramifications if things are not tracked correctly. And what we've done is we've broken this up into kind of two pieces here. Your admins and managers will have a communication repository that they go to. And then from here, they will have the ability to create a communication and actually force acknowledgement. So the nice thing about this is that if it's something that's really important that they need to address, the next time that they log in, it will force a pop-up that will it'll mean they have to read it, download any documents, and then actually force acknowledgement. You can see that we actually track when they've acknowledged it. You can send this to one employee, multiple employees. So you have a lot of flexibility if it's just your CRS team or maybe just your sales team. You have internal notes, the ability to put a message in, attach documents, things like that. Okay. Okay, next up we have a PTO calendar. So here you can see that we have a very straightforward calendar. I know this is important sometimes when you have an agency with several people and you don't allow everyone to take off at the same time. So maybe first come, first serve, so people can come, see if there's somebody already, have they've already taken that day off. We have the ability to put on holidays. So you can go ahead and set those up at the beginning of the year. And then here is the time off request where you would do that. Managers and admins have the ability to approve those requests. And then if you're a regular user, then you would just see your request and whether they are approved or denied. Okay. Okay, next we're going to bounce over to the compensation plan. So what we offer with a compensation plan is a self-service strategy that will allow you to track your compensation based on a variety of different ways, primarily through the tier system, which allows you to set up your tiers, start in with your percentage and things like that. We also have a payout option, which allows it to be a little more complex if you only do it by policy line. Maybe you only do auto, etc., and you can control that. And then you have the ability to do some overriding. So these are very similar, except for one is much more complicated. And then in the future, we are planning on adding agency tiers. We then jump over to broker, which gives us the ability to track compensation either by a single percent or a single dollar. But we've had some requests where you actually can put in a tier system and you can say that up to X number of items gets 2%, and then you can add additional tiers after that. Then you can actually do your preferred bundles based on either a certain percentage. You can also do it by minimum policies. We also do chargebacks, which that system, once you enable it, you just need to follow these directions. And then once that's done, it will show up and take away according to based on how much or how quickly they charge back from when they sold the policy. And then we have a brand new feature that we launched last month that we're pretty excited about called custom compensations. So one of the most common things that we noticed from a lot of the agents is that they always were paying people for little things like $5 for this or $50 for that, and it was never consistent, and it was very difficult to kind of get a gauge of, well, how exactly do you track all that or keep up with it. So what we do is we give you the ability to essentially name it whatever you want, treat it as a percentage or as a dollar amount, put a start and end date on it, and as long as the user actually has the comp plan tied to them, then from there they would be able to select it in their sale, and then they would get, for in this case, the $10. Okay. So to be able to run the comp plan, we come over to the comp plan, and then once we pick our employees, it'll save your filters from what you did before. And then it will produce a list that will let you kind of review the summary data. And then from there, you have a couple different choices. You can download the PDFs that you can generate and then send those. You can generate all of them, or you can generate just one or two at a time. One of our future features we want to do is give you the ability to just email this directly to each individual in the system. But right now you have to download and manually do it. The Excel report, which is the left side that says export to Excel, shows this comprehensive report, which shows you, first of all, the summary of all the employees, premium, VC, premium, all that, everything there. It gives you a detailed breakdown of your plan info. Then it goes to commission details. So this gets into each individual customer, policy line, Excel, etc. So now you can look at it and break it down. Bonus details, which if there were any bonuses, which is an option in our system, and then any chargebacks, and then custom compensations if they were applied. This is the same data that would be on the PDF, except for it would be for that specific individual. So if we were going to check out Alex's compensation, then he would get a list for with just these three on it, but it would be a PDF with essentially the same exact data, which is what you need. Now let's bounce over to um, some of the customization. So first of all, you're able to control and change your colors. You're able to also update your logo and anything you want with that. We also have, like I said, we talked about here are the different carriers that you can set up. Here's your lead sources that you have full control over. We actually have notifications that you can send out. You can send those out to one person, multiple people, which is just kind of a daily summary of how well you did. I've already kind of shown the page customizations, but one thing that we noticed with some of our competitors was just the complexity and so many different pages and things to do. What we do is we give you the ability to control that. So for instance, let's say we do have some agents that just don't track talk time. All you got to do is hit the button here and hit save, and then the talk time tracker would go away from the left-hand side. You wouldn't be able to input in. Let's say you don't track goals or you don't care about customer reach. This gives you the ability to control how many pages that you want to actually show in the system. Next up is the policies. Like I showed before, we keep up with the actual term in months because that's what chargebacks uses. Okay, then we get to our retention settings, which this is the ability to specify things like your follow-up date, which is kind of like a default follow-up date, and then you're able to kind of set up default renewal assignments. So for instance, some agents will say that, hey, I want the salesperson, the first renewal, or only one person handles all of our assignments. So whenever you send in something on the renewal status, it will just assign it to whoever that user is, or it may be just manual. And manual is just like every single time it's going to be unique and independent. And that's pretty much it. Yep. There we go. I finished early.
TJ, anything you would add
Want to
to?
add anywhere you want me to go?
No, I think that was really good. I think one thing that we haven't really expressed, I meant to in the beginning, I didn't, is just how we are going to be different from the competitors. And one of the biggest ways is the fact that number one, as simple as customer service, that we will be there for agents. You know, I was an agent. I understand that we want to grow. We want to help agents by building what they want. And I know we don't need to get into the things I've heard about other systems, but it's very common when you get very big and kind of bloated the way they are, it's very difficult to make changes, right? And how we are able to move much faster. Our system was built on much newer technology. And then the most important thing that should be, is on top of a lot of people's minds. All three of us are very plus the team. There's four more team members behind the scenes. We're all very up on AI. And if you don't know how AI is helping us build software faster, so not only are we already better than the competition, we're going to get a lot better because we are able to use AI to help build things faster, make changes faster. So we want feedback from agents. And we've gotten a ton of it, by the way. So many of the features in the system you're seeing came from the agents using it saying, oh, your guys' thing is over here, or it's not doing this thing. We need to do this. And like, we just build it like quickly for them. And I think that's a huge differentiator that people should understand, that you get to work with a team where you get to talk to us. Terry is like the lead product manager. Alex is like a corporate data scientist who does consulting for Fortune 500 companies. Like, I'm the least smart person here by far, but at least I know Allstate. So you get the best of all worlds. And I think the potential for where this goes is amazing. I mean, we probably shouldn't show it right now, Terry, but our feature request list of all the things that we're going to build out here as we grow is going to be incredible. It's going to shock people because we don't want to be limited to what the current competitors do. We already have, as Terry showed, a bunch of features that they don't have. We have things on the docket that nobody's even thinking about that will make the life of an Allstate agent so much better. I know because a lot of these are my ideas because I wanted them and they didn't exist, and so we're going to make them exist. So anyway, I think that's very important for people to understand.
Yeah, and I would say that, I would say probably 75% of what is in the system came directly from agents' feedback,
Hmm.
from what they've told us. And so we've tried to be very sensitive to their needs. And then another important thing is to make sure that whenever we do build new features, that we do not create features that kind of force every agent into necessarily into
Yes,
a box.
that's right.
That's the reason why you have so many different customizations. We don't want to have agent A say, "Hey, I want it this way," and then agent B not like it that way,
Hmm.
which can slow you down a little bit, but it just gives you a lot of flexibility.
Well, I would say actually, guys, that's a very important point because Terry and I talk about this a ton where I'll give him an idea or an agent will say, hey, can we do this? And what he's basically getting at is we could solve that problem, let's say in a day, but then it would force everybody to do the tracking or whatever the thing was that exact way. And Terry always stops me and says, wait a minute, let's think big picture here. Let's step back and say, let's make sure that if agents want to solve that same problem slightly differently, we allow for that. And I think that's super key because so many of these other systems, it's like their way or the highway. And again, one of the best examples you showed at the beginning was if you're not using Talk Time Tracker, maybe whatever the Allstate new phone system, they keep changing it. If that has good tracking, not only do you not have to use ours, you can hide it so it doesn't exist because I know, like coming back to what I said at the beginning with performology, is there's so many options that most agents who aren't truly in the weeds on every single feature just get overwhelmed. You have so many buttons in front of you, so many things, it's overwhelming. And your team is going to be even worse, right? They have less incentive to learn it than you do. So in our case, just hide it from them. So you're removing that complexity. And I think that's another thing I should have said at the beginning is not it is again performology was my experience of just so much complexity that it was overwhelming that our idea with this from the very beginning was make it simple. Even though we're going to end up having a lot of features, we've added a ton since then, it still can be a simple system that with very minor training you can figure it out. A lot of people figure it out on their own, where I think some of these other systems, this is just so complex you can't figure it out. And we're never going to let the system get that way. That's always something we talk about before we build anything is how do we make it simple and not overwhelming?
Yeah, and just to kind of add on to that, a great example of this is that we had people asking with this retention, they were like, well, on the renewal audit, I don't want to see, maybe this column or that column. And we were like, well, what we just decided to do is, okay, let's just give them the ability
Yep.
to
That's a
show
great
these
one.
columns, right? And so like you have the ability to pick whatever columns you want. You can actually even change how it's pinned. So you don't have to have things pinned. You can drag and drop the order of them. So very clean interface, but just once again, it's all about optionality. So
Optionality.
that way, you're not forced to. And this even goes to like the user perspective. So like for instance, you may have even people in your own agency that need to see some different views. And this is actually by user. This is even by agency. So you can have maybe one person look at it one way, another person look at it another, and they have
Mhm.
full customization over that.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah, I
that's
just wanted
that's
to
really
reiterate
great.
that. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember how much we went into that to make sure, again, it was very valuable with the feedback we were getting. But again, yeah, you're exactly right. We had one person asking for one column that I wasn't sure other people would want. And this was the solution is, hey, let's just let people choose themselves. Yet it's still simple. So I think it's a perfect example. The other point I think to get across as well is, again, we already have multiple features that no the others don't have. I mean, like the business metrics report,
mhm.
view, which was again one of the original ideas when I was told how to track that, which is just hilarious to me. Um, but we are the only platform that does HR tracking and retention system. So just to be clear, Agency Zoom has HR, Performology has the retention suite. Neither of them have both. We are the only platform where you can do both of these things. Plus, ours is better than both of theirs as well, which we've been told by all the people using these. But even regardless of that, these are two very important features retention and HR, you really don't want to not have either of those. They're probably, outside of the obvious of sales tracking, they're the two most important ones. And it doesn't make sense to only have one of them. Like, it just doesn't. And so we are the solution to that, where you only need one system and yet you get to solve both problems. Plus all the things that we've got coming down the pipe that we're not announcing yet, but stuff that nobody else, I've never even heard other people thinking about putting in a platform like this. I've heard of people using outside systems that cost $200 or $300 a month by themselves, and we're just going to incorporate it. So I think the feature set that we already have is amazing, and where this is going is going to be incredible. And so we want your feedback, right? We want to show it to you. We can go over with you personally what options there are, so you can help us structure which one should we do first. Yep.
Okay.
So to that point, TJ, I guess if people have other questions or follow-ups that they want to ask, they can reach out directly via email to you directly.
Absolutely.
TJ at insuremetrics.io. There's our website as well. And something that we did specially for this presentation is we've got a discount code for everybody that's on this webinar. So that's just an opportunity. Again, we're building this, we're growing it, and we want the opportunity to be able to work with folks and improve the product over time. So all the feedback, every input is taken to heart, and we've developed quite a lot of features from where we started, TJ. So
Absolutely.
I wholeheartedly agree with what you guys just said. So I'll pause there for a second, just see if were there any other questions that are coming through? Do we have anything else that folks might be asking for or asking about?
I don't show anything on the chat.
Okay.
I know we had some audio issues. So if anybody had audio issues or whatever, again, we're unlike some of the other teams. We are very easy to get a hold of. I mean, Terry and Alex are too, but you don't need to go to them first. Go to me first. If we want to get them to jump on, we can. But yeah, I'm very easy to reach. TJ at insuremetrics.io. Find me on Facebook. Find me anywhere. I'm all over. Message me and I'm happy to jump on, answer questions, go over what we can do for you, because I think you're going to be really happy to join us and to actually have input into where a system like this goes. You get to decide the future of it and have things built. And I'm quite confident that is not true of any of the other competitors.
Thank you, TJ and team. We really
Of course.
appreciate you guys being here today. I'm going to
Awesome.
stop the
Thank you,
recording
Nancy.
now.